beaten him, and it's going to bring up the 150 for Sri Lanka with an edgy shot, which doesn't give Morrison any pleasure at all, and it takes Mahanama to 65.
Well, that was very well bowled by Morrison, a quick delivery, and I tell you what, he bowled that beautifully. But of course, in one-day cricket with no slip there, anything that hits the fine edge or outside edge of the bat's just going to race away for 4 runs. He's done that. In fact, 9 runs have already come off this over.
Yes. And here's another, oh, it's a good shot. It's beaten the field, and Ken Rutherford is a sweeper way out there. He can't get round to it. And Mr. Reporter with a very interesting style. Oh, he swung this away. High, wide, and handsome. He's gone. Taken out there by Ken Rutherford. Ranatunga trying to up the rate. Swung it high, wide, and handsome, but not far enough. And he's taken on the mid-wicket boundary.
What a fine catch that was, and Rutherford never looked like missing it. He hit it very well indeed, not quite hard enough for his own purposes. That was a massive blow, and Ken Rutherford, just watch him. He had it completely under control. Lovely catch, both feet off the ground, and everything looks splendid. 172 for 4.
And he's gone. Cotton bowl. Well, Chris Harris picks that up as Mahanama goes to drive. He can't keep it down, and Chris Harris takes a very good cotton bowl.
Yes, that was a fine catch. So those ones either stick or don't. But he did very well to control himself once the ball was in his hand, was upon him. Again, Mahanama driving when reaching for it a little bit, walking as he played the stroke. But he hit it well. And well done, Harris.
So, the new man, Tilakaratne, coming out to face a hat-trick. Disallowed appeal, but umpire Reporter says no and signals leg byes.
Nudge for a single, looking for a second, and hesitation, should be got out. It is, well and truly. Just that moment's hesitation, and Sri Lanka lose another wicket.
Yes, we'll see here in the replay. The ball hit just behind square. The man off fence came in very quickly, really attacked the ball. We'll see here, picked it up, Larson, and a very good throw, right over the stumps. Great piece of cricket. New Zealand has certainly got back into this game, haven't they? Sri Lanka have lost wickets at times when they shouldn't have.
Here is the Manhattan, if you like, and there was a little acceleration just after the 40th over, but it's fallen away again, you can see that. Went after it and got caught. New Zealand skipper takes the catch. Tilakaratne goes for 8. And in the 48th over, Sri Lanka lose their 7th wicket at 195.
Yes, we're going to say he decides to get after it. But hit it in the air. There's that man at short cover. And good catch, Martin Crowe. Well, once again, Sri Lanka put more pressure on themselves.
Tilakaratne departs for 8. Vijay to face. They've had a bit of a chat. He's after it. I think Ramanayake came out and said, look, we really have to get on with this. Ramanayake running for all his worth makes it. Good throw by Morrison. Worked away by Kalpajay. There's going to be a run out here. Ramanayake is stranded. Rod Latham fielded cleanly. Ramanayake running blind, really. He didn't look to see where the ball had gone. Kalpajay tried to send him back. It was too late. And Ramanayake is run out for 2.
Yes, we see here, this is suicide. Straight to the fielder. There was never going to be a run there. Look, just a clean pickup, return. It's the pressure of the one-day game. Sri Lanka have got themselves into this position by the way they've batted in the last 10 or 12 overs.
Latham had a quick look, and he could see that Ramanayake was absolutely stranded mid-pitch. And it's goodbye to Champaka Ramanayake, out for 2. And he does get a single finally, so Sri Lanka bring up their 200 at the end of the 49th over. They're 200 for the loss of 8 wickets. So the last over starting now. Watson in the air and a chance for a catch. Gavin Larsen holds it. Kalpajay goes. And that's 9 wickets down now for Sri Lanka in the 50th over. 202 for 9.
On the replay here, he had to go after it. Full ball. Didn't get enough bat on it. Got it high up the bat, and Larsen, once again, that man Larsen, he's been in everything today, hasn't he? He's been involved in run-outs. He bowled well, and that was a good catch. Well judged.
Long time to wait, but safely held by Gavin Larsen, so Kalpajay out for 11. Swing and a miss. Watson bowling it very full.
Just a shame, it was just a little wide there. In fact, it didn't miss by much, did it?
Blocked it away nicely. Now he should get 2 here. Great Batch is cruising around from mid-wicket. Lovely flat throw by Mark Greatbatch. Watson. It's going to be a scintillating 1. So that is the end of Sri Lanka's batting display here at Trustbank Park. And they finish on 206 for 9. So New Zealand have done well after Martin Crowe decided to send them in.
206 for 9 after 50 overs. The final Sri Lankan total, a score that can only be regarded really as an average one, and one which is certainly beatable as far as New Zealand are concerned. The top scorer, Roshan Mahanama, the opening batsman, he made a fine 80. Aravinda De Silva made 31. Ranatunga made 20. There wasn't too much in the lower half of the order, and only 12 boundaries were scored in that Sri Lankan score. Look at the New Zealand bowling figures. Willie Watson, the most successful, 3 for 37 from 10 overs. Chris Harris also took 3 wickets, 2 in consecutive balls. But a word once again about the bowling of Gavin Larsen. 10 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 29, and Deepak Patel did well as well, going for less than 4 runs and over. 9 overs, none for 32.
Ramanayake driving and runs through wide, and he starts with a boundary. The World Cup's underway for John Wright.
John Wright's very good off his legs here. He demonstrated that magnificently when New Zealand played Zimbabwe at Rotorua. Really played his shots quite magnificently, and that's a typical John Wright shot, forcing it through mid-wicket for 4.
Wright goes again over the top, through mid-wicket. Don't run, John Wright, that's 4. It's a lovely 4. Thank you very much, Mr. Reporter.
Well, also, Peter, the bowler is too short. I think it's a lot easier to pronounce. But obviously, the Sri Lankan bowlers, they've had a lot of their preparation in Australia on the harder pitches there, which they get a little more bounce. But here in New Zealand, you've got to bowl a lot fuller than that.
Latham down the ground. That's a magnificent shot for Latham to start.
Rod Latham likes to drive the ball. Bit of a front foot player there. Had a bit of room to free his arms too, and really hit that one very, very hard indeed. Straight back, really through mid-off. In fact, mid-off is a lot wider. I would have thought he may have been just a little bit straighter, but that's 4 runs. That's a very confident shot there by Latham.
From Roger Wickramasinghe to right. And he's going again in the air through mid-wicket. And that's hit well too by John Wright. That's his 3rd 4.
Well, again, John Wright, very severe on anything short. Likes to just get back onto the crease and to pull. But this must be very disconcerting for Aravinda De Silva, the Sri Lankan captain. I'm sure the fielders are somewhat disappointed, let alone the bowler.
Latham going over the top. He didn't quite get onto it, but he hit it well enough to clear the fielders. It won't go all the way. And Jayasuriya, who's very quick in the field, drags it in.
Oh, dear me, that came back. And really tucked Rod Latham up, cut him in half.
Yes, we're seeing here, this ball did seam back a lot. It was bowled. It was a quicker ball. He put a lot more effort into that. It was well bowled, that. Rod Latham was a little lucky that ball bounced.
Yes, that could have had a nasty effect on stump vision as well.
Mr. Reporter obviously doesn't know how to fix the electrical side of or whatever it is.
No, he's got an eye together. Good shot. Beautifully timed. That's 4.
Well, that was the shot that Latham was trying to play to the previous ball. That one was just a little wider and it stayed out there, and here we go again. Plenty of room. Strong off the back foot. 4 runs.
Oh, lovely shot.
That was a beautiful stroke. That's right at his very best. They won't stop that. That's 4 runs. Gurusena can run forever and a day, and he'll never catch up with that. But John Wright batting marvellously well. And maybe he needed the shoulder injury just to tune him up.
Yes, he looked a bit determined, didn't he? And it's a good opportunity for him in this game. The Sri Lankan attack, probably not as demanding as some of the others in the competition. And not a good day for him on Saturday. John Wright getting out for a duck. That was a super shot. And Wickramasinghe, the bowler. This is Paul Moore. No fine leg. You pay the penalty if you stray down leg in that situation. And John Wright races on to 26.
What a marvellous piece of fielding that was.
Yes, Mahanama. John Wright down the wicket. He's tried to hit it over the top. He's just cleared Aravinda De Silva, who's after it. And that'll be the 50 up for New Zealand. A slightly streaky shot from John Wright. He gets away with it, but New Zealand bring their 50 up. A little bit of turn here, and that'll be 4. That'll run away to the vacant 3rd man boundary. And the outfield's pretty quick here. It's a bit deceptive. Once it gets out there, it tends to just run on. And a super crowd. Lots of school children around.
That was uppish too. It was a thick edge. Had there been someone there in the gully?
A really gentle little run in from Kapalgi, and that's 4 more. So this is an expensive over. Now there's more runs, so that'll run away for 4, I would think. A long chase, and just pulled back. Well done. And Wickramasinghe, a long chase, and does well. And runs immediately for John Wright. That was a lovely shot. Very well timed. No real power, but it just kept on going.
There's a lovely fluency about his stroke play this afternoon, isn't there?
Oh, lovely shot. That'll be 4. No question about that.
You see, what Wright is showing the Sri Lankans is that when you get the short one with a bit of width, the loose ball, in fact, you've got to hit it before. They didn't hit many of them before, and that was why, one of the reasons why, they only made 206.
Driving, that's a good shot. Oh, and he beats the fielder out there. That was going just too quickly for Gurusingha. And Kalpajay not happy. Latham will be delighted, even though the face doesn't show it. Driving down the ground, and that's his 50. Wright just brings it up with a lovely stroke. It's his 24th one-day 50 for New Zealand, and his third, in fact, in World Cup.
And he's hit 8 boundaries in that too, Peter. In other words, he's been very severe in anything short, anything wide, anything full. He's really punished those balls to the boundary and picked up some very good singles. 67 balls, that's a very good strike rate, isn't it? 74.6.
Oh, let's ball him. Poor shot from Latham. Didn't move his feet at all. Played a nothing shot, really, and it's got through his defence. Latham out for 20. New Zealand have lost their first wicket at 77.
Well, I'm not so sure it's going to change the game too much, but really Rod Latham should have come forward to that one. That ball did turn quite sharply, but unfortunate. Probably the only one that's turned all day. But New Zealand lose their first wicket, 77 for 1, 18th over.
He's hit it in the air, but he's hit it safely in the gap between mid-wicket and long on. He's got 4. Placed to perfection by John Wright, and he's gone through to 55.
And he's out, John Wright. He's caught and bowled. Caught and bowled by Kalpajay. And Sri Lanka have their second wicket. John Wright is out for 57. And New Zealand are 90 for 2 in the 23rd over.
Yes, once again, we're going to see that ball was well up there. Wright got forward to it. Didn't quite get to the pitch of the ball. And it was a very good catch. Caught low down, changing direction, and he's followed through. But well batted, John Wright. He's batted really
He did, he
well.
batted well. 57, John Wright.
And that's played away on the leg side, Martin Crowe. And he'll pick up 2. So Anarasuri, the left-arm spinner. And that's the 100 up for New Zealand. They're calling for a run here, Andrew Jones. And Ranatunga, that's sloppy fielding out there, one hand, and then he kicked the ball on. And that's a bit tight. Andrew Jones coming back, but umpire Shepherd says, no, you're in.
That was actually a good bit of fielding in the end. But Ranatunga had a bit of bad luck. He did well to stop the ball. It bounced out of his hand, and he couldn't stop himself from kicking it away.
So Anarasuri firing it in. And it was a good throw, but Andrew Jones well home. Hooked away. Oh, he could be caught. He is caught. Martin Crowe is caught.
Well, that is really a body blow for New Zealand, a rank long hop, and it just shows you how these bad balls can get wickets. He hit it straight down, is it Champaka Ramanaka? I think it was down there at deep fine leg. He took a difficult catch. Well, it was going, travelling at a great rate. It had gone right through him, and he missed it.
So a short delivery from Wickramasinghe, and down it went. So Martin Crowe out. That's tragedy for New Zealand. 105 for 3. Oh, he's edged it. He's dropped it. Ranatunga in first slip has dropped Ken Rutherford. Well, what a tragedy for Sri Lanka, and what an over.
Oh, it's a big shot in the air, but he's going to be safe. Andrew Jones hits it well enough and gets it down to long on for 4.
Well, that's the first sign of aggression by Andrew Jones, particularly off Anarasuri. I mean, that could have gone straight up in the air too, couldn't it, Peter? My word.
Yes. They'll have to hurry because Jayasuri is a left-hander and close. pressure's on. They're going to get another one too. That's untidy. Messy stuff.
Very poor cricket from Sri Lanka.
Big hit by Rutherford.
And 6. Just made it over the boundary. Well, that's a big boundary out there. That was a huge hit by Rutherford.
Yes, that ball pitched outside off. It was in the slot, really. Gentle medium pace delivery. Rutherford just put his foot down the wicket and swung it right over mid-wicket for 6.
That's nicely driven by Jones. That's through. Rather over pitch from Kalpage, and Andrew Jones takes toll.
Yes, this one was right in the slot, as they say. Full. Jones got onto the front foot. He only had to beat one of those men on the inner ring. No one sweeping, and the result was 4 runs.
And Andrew Jones goes for the big shot and hits it very well to the extra cover boundary for 4.
Well, you see, that's what you can do to the medium pacers, which they can't do and won't do to the spinners, because there's much more likelihood that the ball's going vertically into the air then. But that was a fine shot, and just exactly the sort of welcome riposte that New Zealand needed.
He's got hold of this one, and he's hit it
exactly
well.
where he should hit the
And that's 4. Good shot. Short, wide, and umpire Mr. Reporter leaves the scorers in no doubt 4 runs.
I can't work out the thinking behind Mr. Reporter. It's the vigorous signal for the scorer, then it's the more laid-back, leisurely sweep of the arms to the scoreboard.
Yes. Interesting style, isn't it?
It was a good shot, that, though. It was wide, it was short, it was asking for it, and it got it.
And short again, pulled away just over the head of Gurusingha, and it races away for 4 more. Pulling it away, Ken Rutherford. It wasn't too far from the outstretched hands of Gurusingha, but it went away for 4. And just picking it up, Ken Rutherford. And a misfield out there that'll run away for 4.
Well, that was a clumsy piece of fielding.
Kalpage down there behind square. That's sloppy stuff.
We'll take an appeal for ABW. He might be close. Umpire Reporters looks at it and says, well, how can I give you that? Because I couldn't see it. Gurusingha stood right in front of it. Won't have a look at that. Bob Cunis has come back with me.
Well, I don't know if he did run across in front of him, but I looked to me as if it could have been going down leg side, Peter.
I think that too, but look at the umpire. He gave the indication that, well, I didn't really see it. It's in the air. He's caught. Jayasuriya has got it. So Jones is gone. 1 short of 50. Caught Jayasuriya. Bowled Gurusingha for 49. It's 186 for 4.
Yes, well, we see here this ball was up on leg stump. Perhaps the pace of the wicket did Jones there. A little bit lazy. I think he meant to hit it over that man in close, but he only succeeded in hitting it to him. But well played, Jones. He's done a marvellous job for New Zealand. Picked up the run rate in New Zealand. We're struggling there for a while. 2 new batsmen at the crease, but he's batted well.
So maybe the pressure coming back on to New Zealand. They've lost a wicket, 186 for 4 now. Rutherford's still there, but Jones is gone. Caught Jayasuriya, bowled Gurusingha for 49. Oh, Rutherford goes high, wide, and handsome over mid-wicket for a magnificent 4. That's so easy for his 50. A magnificent stroke to complete a very fine innings from Ken Rutherford. His 13th one-day 50, his 3rd in World Cup matches.
Yes, this ball, as we're going to see, was pitched in short. Rutherford quickly into position. No one out there. Good, strong shot. And if we look at his wagon wheel here, we see that he's got his share of boundaries. He's also
Just 4
worked the
though,
ball
just
around.
4 and 1 6, of course. 6, a magnificent stroke over mid-wicket. And then a couple of other boundaries, mostly on the onside. In fact, looking at them, with one being hit behind point, and all the rest on the onside.
Yep.
There's the 200 for New Zealand. They need just 7 further runs to take this match. And they've brought up the 200 in the 48th over.
Yep.
Well, that's through the gap, and that's going to go all the way because there's no one sweeping now. And Rutherford, once he got it through, had enough pace on the ball to take it all the way. So it brings Mr. Reporter into action again.
Yes, he's made a few of those unusual signs that he makes for boundaries today, hasn't he? But that was a good shot. The Silvers brought the field in now to stop the ones. He realised that New Zealand could pick it up in ones. And it was a good shot from Rutherford.
2 runs needed, and Rutherford plays an uncertain shot. I love the signal from Pilo Reporter, and I think I'm going to call him from now on Conductor Reporter, because it's like a conductor of an orchestra. I'd like to see him signal 6. Wonder what he does. Probably jumps up in the air and throws his arms around. 205 for 4 it is. 2 runs needed. There's one of them. The scores are tied. New Zealand has still a couple of overs left, and they need 1 further run with 6 wickets in hand. A convincing effort by New Zealand. So after they restricted Sri Lanka to 206 for 9 from the 50 overs, it gave them a chance to be able to use their 50 overs on a pitch which is played very well, and that should have been quite easy.
The thing being, Peter, is that the Sri Lankan bowlers have bowled quite well too, because they knew they had a small target to defend. They probably realised they hadn't got enough runs, but I think the bowlers generally have bowled very well. They've put a lot of pressure on the New Zealand batsmen. Even though 8 of them have bowled, it's been a good performance by the Sri Lankan bowlers. And this, of course, I would say will be the last over. And once again, Rutherford's come to the fore, 61 not out. Another innings when it was needed.
New Zealand needing 1 run for victory now.
One.
And it's not coming this time. By New Zealand, and Rutherford lifts it, and there's the winning runs hit by Ken Rutherford, and Rutherford, the man of the match, takes off as a scramble goes on out in the middle, but well batted Ken Rutherford, and New Zealand win their 2nd match at the Benson and Hedges World Cup, beating Sri Lanka here in Hamilton today by 6 wickets.
Yeah, we were very happy with our overall performance. To restrict Sri Lanka to 200 was good after they looked likely to get a little bit more, and just sort of got there with an over, so to speak.
I think the thing that I noticed today after having seen the game in Auckland was the marked sharpness of the team today in the field. To me, it was quite noticeable that the team has lifted significantly.
And may it continue.
Yes, I agree.
Martin, were there any little worries in the New Zealand team at all when you wobbled a bit? Wright and Latham gave us such a flying start, didn't they? And then there was just the loss of 1 or 2 wickets there.
Yeah, you know, I personally was a bit disappointed in my innings, a little bit too careful. You still got to get 4 or 5 and over, and you don't want to put too much pressure on, you know, the guys later on. So that's a reminder. But some cool heads there. You know, Ken Rutherford again playing very well. Andrew Jones doing the job. So we're very happy with this win.
And all eyes on the TV set tomorrow night to watch South Africa's first appearance, because you've got them on Saturday.
Well, that's right, because we've never seen them play, really, and so we're looking forward to watching that tomorrow. It's a very important team-building exercise, and then, of course, we look forward to Saturday.
Right. Bevan, how do you think South Africa's going to go first up tomorrow?
That will be very interesting. They've got a lot of good players. I just wonder whether they will adjust quickly to the slow wickets in New Zealand. I think that will be the major test for them. And it's also, it's quite a challenge to come out and suddenly slot into what is pretty constant pressure in the game now. And as we go further down the line in the games, the pressure increases. So it will be quite a difficult test for them, but it will be exciting to watch them as well.
All right, Martin, so you're really looking forward to Saturday, and you're confident the way the team is now playing that you can make it 3 out of 3 on Saturday?
Sure, I think, you know, after beating Australia, we can fancy our chances against any side. We've just got to keep focusing on that next game, and of course Saturday's important to us because it gives us such a, you know, a good lead, if you like, going into the second half of the competition. So let's hope everyone comes along to Eden Park and supports us.
Well, I'm sure there will be a lot of support for that game. Yes, New Zealand against South Africa, of course, but South Africa is still just under 7.5 hours now away from the big encounter that they've got to face. First of all, the one at Sydney tomorrow against Australia. When one looks at maybe the South African preparation, we've been a little disappointed with the weather, of course, not being able to get out and get into the middle and get some practice. That's been very disappointing. But one area where we did, of course, make our, I suppose, re-entry into the Australian game, at least, was against Western Australia. So what we do tonight is just maybe have a look at the people who perhaps we are looking forward to holding up the end for South Africa, and also becoming, not only just holding up the end, but also being the attackers for South Africa. Particularly, let's have a look at our bowling strengths as we go into this big match tomorrow at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
It's out. Got him. Well, what a start for Pringle. And Moody tries to cut outside edge, and Richardson pulls in a catch. Disappointment for Tom Moody, and a jubilant South African side congratulate Pringle on his first wicket in Australia. And a good one at that, Tom Moody. Beautifully moved there too by Richardson, got himself across in front of first slip with a minimum of fuss and took the catch. That's pretty close, that's got to be out. That's LBW, Jeffrey Marsh. Alan Donald strikes with the Yorker.
Yes, what a lovely delivery, and I think that may have just been pure pace. Got through Jeff Marsh's defence there. Full pitch delivery, nice and close to the umpire. And there is not much doubt about that one. That would have taken middle stump. And is he a very happy man as Alan Donald?
Played it on, Michael Valletta. Yes, he's not happy, is he? Thought he had 50 for the taking there. But half on the front foot, half on the back foot. The angled blade, and plays it on.
Yes, and what a vital breakthrough for the South Africans. Pringle, good line and length. Valletta looking to push it through the offside on the rise from the inside edge, and it's cannon into that leg stump. And that's the one they needed. He protecting 157, and Western Australia now lose the wicket of Mike Valletta. Bowled Pringle for 35, and they are now 3 for 83. And there's the appeal, and giving it out. That's the one they needed. Eric Pringle right on line. Lavender looking to push that through the leg side. And Carl Liebenberg had no hesitation in getting that left hand up, and Mark Lavender's on his way. LBW did Pringle.
And a good straight delivery here. Very quick and straight, and that's all you've got to do in one-day cricket. Across the line, no doubt about that. Liebenberg quickly raised the left hand and put the finger up. And there it was. So Lavender now out. LBW bowled by Pringle for 28, and West Australia 4 for 96. Oh, what a good delivery, and out. Got him. Well, surprise ball. That was quick and unexpected. And Martin's not happy. Well, I don't know why. That's fair enough. Martin's claiming it's too high. I didn't think so. Well, nothing wrong with that. No, that just caught him totally by surprise. Great delivery there. And Brian McMillan successful, sends Damien Martin on his way, and hasn't this game been turned around?
seen too many people leave this ground. And that's another wicket, and Pringle's done it yet again. Brendan Julian's on his way, and that's the wicket the South Africans required. Brendan Julian bowled yet again by Merrick Pringle. And boy, do we have a game on our hands now. Still 5 runs required, 35 deliveries to go. And Merrick Pringle picks up his 4th wicket.
Fantastic piece of bowling. Just speared that Yorker in to Millen off. Brendan Julian, I think, looking for that little dab down to the 3rd man area again. It wasn't there. Tremendous bowling. 7 for 133. He's out for 9.
Well, there we are then. Macmillan, Pringle, Snell and Donald, the pace attack that we'll be looking forward to tomorrow morning, just to see whether or not they can really break through that Australian batting lineup, particularly with the likes of David Boone there, who's undoubtedly a great informed batsman. But what about our batsmen? Our batsmen, of course, are the fellows who really have got to get us away to a good start. We've already seen, have we not, how well the New Zealanders got away with the Sri Lankans today. Need over 60 runs, I think, quite honestly, in the first 15 overs with all the players inside that 30-metre limit. But now, how are our batsmen going to really fare on that issue? One looks at that and says, I think they might be a little too slow. But these are the batsmen that we're going to rely on in tomorrow's game at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
That's a lovely shot. He's pushed that past mid-off, the open mid-off area. Wayne Andrews is after it. And they get an easy 3. And a beautiful return to keep a 0. That's a great shot. Lavender won't get that. 4 runs. That's the first boundary of the innings. And what a lovely shot there from Peter Kirsten. Well, that's wide, and he smashed that through the covers. You wouldn't really say it was off the back foot or the front foot. It would stand and deliver. What a magnificent shot through the covers from Peter Kirsten.
Yeah, that one's not out of the coaching textbook, but it was very, very effective. We've seen him on a couple of occasions use his feet to get down the wicket to the quicker bowlers. This one was wide, and he's crashed that. He's hit that right in the middle, and that's raced away for 4 runs. Can't give him any width, as McCaig has on this occasion. It's a nice shot. He'll get at least 3 here. Damien Martin doing the chasing, as is Mark Lavender. And they're both not going to get to him. That one's just gathered pace, and it's 4 runs to Jonty Rhodes. Pushed it square of the wicket. Over pitched there by Julian. And yet another boundary.
This is a beautiful shot. I love to see batsmen play these. Just opens the face of the blade, plays a square drive, and that outfield's like lightning out there. Even though there's been a lot of rain here over the last few days. Look at that, just opened the face, squirted it through point. It's a beautiful shot to watch. It's the ball come to him. Beautiful balance. It's a smashing shot, cracking cover drive from Brian McMillan, and that'll be 4 all the way. That's the end of the over, 5 for 76.
This young beauty balls. Good shot by Brian McMillan. Cleared the infield. 4 runs.
Yeah, that was a great shot. Had really launched into that one. Very strong player by the looks of things, McMillan. Lovely shot. Forget about that one. Great shot there from McMillan. He's really looking the part. Picked that one off his toes, and McCaig just over pitching down leg side and beautifully timed.
Well, there we are. That's the players, or those are the players that we are, of course, going to be relying on tomorrow morning against the Australian attack. Well, a man that is just coming out, what, to about 10 minutes to 7, I think it is, in Sydney at this moment, and one wonders how the day is dawned. A lot of inclement weather been on the horizon over the last 3 or 4 days. Broke up a little bit yesterday, I do understand, but let's say a very good morning to Louis Karpus and say, Louis, how has it been going for the South Africans over the last 24 hours?
Thanks very much, Barry, and very good morning to you. Well, the last 24 hours, firstly, you'd like to know the weather, I'm sure. Well, the weather has been quite good to the South Africans. It hasn't rained over the last 24 hours, And as I looked out of the window about 10 minutes ago, it looks as though today is going to be a clear day, slightly overcast, but looking at the weather pattern as it has been over the last 36 hours, it appears as though the rain has gone away and will not come back for the next 24 hours or so. And that is a very good sign indeed for the South Africans.
When one looks at the side, you must have seen them in the nets today. I understand the reports are, when I was speaking to you late last night before you went to bed, that they were a little nervous.
Yes, they most definitely were, and I think a good thing has come out of the rain, and that is that South Africa, having not played for a good 7 days now, are very, very hungry indeed to go out and do the best they can against the Australians later on this afternoon. They were itching to get into the nets yesterday afternoon. In fact, it took the groundsman about 30 minutes longer than expected to prepare the nets for them yesterday afternoon, and you could just see how hungry they were to actually get into the nets and show what turned out to be a reasonably large crowd of particularly Australian supporters who came along to have a look at the South Africans for the very first time here in Sydney. And the oohs and ahs, particularly when Alan Donald sent down a couple of snorters, was really interesting to see, because of course we, coming from South Africa, know his capabilities and we know how quickly he can bowl, and they were standing behind the nets when he did let one or two rip. And when that ball went past and through into the back of the netting, they really were quite surprised. Merrick Pringle and Brian McMillan were bowling exceptionally well in the nets. They were straight, they were online, and in fact they gave the South African batsmen quite a bit of trouble. But let it be said that the nets were very green indeed, having had so much rain on them in the last couple of days that the ball did seam around quite a lot. And I doubt whether it'll seam around as much on the SCG. Having a look at the wicket that is being prepared for the match today, it is as flat as can be. It has been shaven of all grass, and it should be a very, very good batting wicket. But still, while I say that, Alan Border reckons that if anybody gets 200, that's going to be a winning score. It's long boundaries, and because of the amount of rain that has fallen over the last couple of days here, it is going to be a very slow outfield. And having a look at their little weather office they've got at the SCG, and they can tell you the amount of moisture under the ground, up to 14 inches. Well, there's 80% moisture under the wicket, just 6 inches under the ground. So that really is going to be a problem. The sun did shine for a while yesterday. The wind blew quite strongly, and that has dried it slightly. So if the wind does continue blowing through until 2:30 this afternoon and there is no more rain, it might dry out a bit and be about 65% according to the groundsman. But it's still going to be a very interesting situation to see who can get the runs over the ring of fielders in the first 15 overs because of that slow outfield. Perhaps pushing the ball in the air over the ring of fielders might give the batting side to bat first a slight advantage due to the afternoon conditions, because it certainly isn't going to dry out as soon as the sun goes down.
Okay, you're talking about the wicket itself now. You say it's been nicely shaven off there. I wonder now, talking not just the conditions, Louis, but I talk about now the 42,000 people expected in the ground. What is the hype like at the moment?
It is just unbelievable. I have never seen a town come to a standstill for a cricket match. The television here is just plugging this game like you cannot believe. It's history in the making. The first time that Australia will play South Africa in the World Cup. The first time they'll ever play under lights. And everybody who is anybody is in Sydney at the moment. And they've come along to see this game. Win or lose, South Africa, even though they will not have the same amount of support, obviously, as the Australians will have in the Sydney cricket ground, the flags will be flying. I've seen some of the flags. They're quite incredible, in fact, the South African supporters that have come across, the South Africans that now live in Sydney. As far as they are concerned, it's Newlands all over again.
Nice to hear that. I suppose that support is what the South Africans need, maybe to calm those nerves down a bit. Did you have the opportunity to talk to Kepler today?
Well, I had a chance to talk to Kepler early on this afternoon, well, yesterday afternoon, still getting my days right. And I must say one thing, that Kepler looks a little bit nervous. He's quite tentative in what he has to say. The team selection will only be made 1 hour before the match actually starts. They're going to have a look at the weather. They're going to have a look at the wicket. And if I have a look at what the South African team might look like, the chances are that depending on what the conditions do for the rest of the day, Omar Henry will more than likely be out of the side, and a probable South African side would be Wessels, Hudson, Kirsten, Caper, Cronje, Rhodes, McMillan, Richardson, Snell, Pringle, and Donald. So a full-pace attack, and that will more than likely be determined by what the Australians do, because their probable side looks like this, with Jeff Marsh and David Boone, Dean Jones and Alan Border, Tom Moody, Steve Waugh, Ian Healy, Peter Taylor, Craig McDermott, Bruce Reid, and an interesting selection, Mike Whitby, who of course took 11 wickets in the last test that he played in Perth, and Mark Waugh. That of course means that they have no place for their spinner, which is quite interesting because many people say that the SCG could be the ground most likely to take spin.
That's interesting you should say that. I saw Whitney, of course, bowl in that last test match against India in Perth, and he's a very, very useful left-arm bowler, moves the ball across the right-hander in particular. I would think that they'll be probably aggressively attacking that off-stump and probably having a nice slip field, I would think, Louis.
I would think so. It's going to be very interesting indeed. The other thing that really is going to be a determining factor, particularly in the first 15 overs, on a pitch that really is going to give the side bowling first that little bit of advantage, considering all the moisture that has been around, is the fact that only 2 fielders may be outside the circle. But the interesting thing is there must be a minimum of 2 stationary fielders within 15 yards of the striker. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players set their field and where the ball flies, because if it does fly off the side of the bat, obviously both captains are going to hope that they've got a man in a catching position to make sure that the players go back. The one thing the South Africans do know, and they know this quite well, is the fact that if for any reason they are in the fortunate situation of getting the Aussies in first and taking a wicket or 2 early on, having lost against New Zealand, and then hypothetically, let's say, being 30 for 2 or maybe even 30 for 3 against South Africa, the pressure is going to be unbelievable on the Australians to come out of that situation. And one little thing that came out yesterday, Merv Hughes, the big moustached Australian, sort of took a stroll across the SCG yesterday, and for some reason that we're not quite sure whether it was a little niggle or not, he managed to walk past Alan Donald, and he kind of like turned around to Donald and said, "So far, is that the best you can give?" Donald's remark was, "I'll give you one tomorrow."
Well, that's a nice way to end. Thanks very much indeed, Louis. I'm sure that you probably want to get an early breakfast. If not, maybe get your head down for another 10 minutes while those time zones certainly get back into, I suppose, the old clock in the head going right anyway. Louis Karpas, we'll be talking to him at about, I suppose, 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, I would think, around about that time, our time anyway, and he'll be at the ground at 2 o'clock, of course, ready for that big match tomorrow at the Sydney Cricket Ground, so we'll be talking to Louis and the whole team there then. Well, what an unbelievable feeling that must be for the South Africans to go onto that ground, and I suppose really when one looks at the occasion, it's the first big one back. No matter what we've said about the rest, it's the first big one into the World Cup competition. All looking forward to that. Don't forget to join us at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, absolutely live, when we'll be here to bring that for you. Just a matter of interest, where's the old cricket bat? There it is. My Stewart and Surridge Turbo Grand Prix. How would you like to win 9 of those? Well, if you would, well, not quite like that, because it's obviously nice to play with, and you're sure you'd like to win that anyway to play with. But on this occasion, this SS Turbo will in fact be full of signatures of the 9 teams that are playing in the World Cup. You can have the opportunity of winning that by answering 3 very simple questions. And all you have to do is do this. I'll answer the questions. One is, who are the sponsors of the 1992 World Cricket Cup? Quite an easy one. And where can you watch the Benson Hedges World Cricket Cup matches live, and those live games? Where can you see those? Well, don't know that, you shouldn't be watching the station. And then, of course, the Benson Hedges World Cricket Cup winning team and the runner-up. That's a little bit more difficult the way things are at the moment. My word, that really has opened up, hasn't it? So there we are, 3 questions for you. Make sure you get them off. Don't forget, of course, the entry forms are in the MNet guide for this month, and all you have to do is find that page, suitably write it out, so to speak, the answers, and send them off to us. Very, very simple. Okay, that's all you've got to do. Well, if you've been waiting up long and, I suppose, eagerly for the soccer, well, let me tell you, from a very cool, I might add, Benson Hedges cricket studio. It's going to be Gary, who's probably got his jacket on and nice and warm in his studio. But he'll be telling you all about the soccer, not least of all, of course, that Liverpool game from last weekend. And I wonder what Spurs did. We won't go into that. See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.